The heart of the haunter. Mara had always known there was something strange about her family, but she never could have imagined the truth that awaited her. The letter came out of nowhere. Her estranged aunt, who had passed away under mysterious circumstances, left her everything, including the one thing that sent chills down Mara's spine. Whispering Hollow, the ancient mansion on the edge of a decaying town, rumored to be cursed. When she first stepped foot on the property, the air was thick and heavy with secrets that seemed to seep from the very walls of the house. It was as if the mansion itself was waiting for her. The floors groaned under her feet as if they were alive, and the cold draft that twisted through the long, empty holes felt like a whisper in her ear. But Mara was determined. She had to know the truth about her family, and if something was haunting Whispering Hollow, she was going to face it head-on. That night, the first of many sleepless nights, Mara met Liam. He appeared in the hallway like a shadow, his face pale, eyes gleaming with an intensity that made her heart race. He was tall, with dark, tousled hair and a worn expression that made him look centuries old. He was the last person she expected to meet in an empty mansion, but there he stood. "I'm here to protect you," he said, his voice as cold as the wind that swirled through the house. "Protect me from what?" Mara asked, confusion filling her voice as she backed away from the man who had appeared out of nowhere. "The curse," Liam whispered, his eyes darkening with a warning. "The house, it has a soul of its own, and it wants you." Mara laughed nervously, but something in his voice held her there, frozen in place. Over the next few days, Liam stayed close, warning her of the house's dark past, the ancient rituals, the dark energy, the restless spirits that still roamed the halls. And the more Mara learned, the more she realized that this mansion, and its haunted history, was somehow bound to her family. As the days passed, Mara grew closer to Liam. Despite the coldness of his warnings, there was an undeniable pull between them, an attraction that she couldn't explain, but couldn't deny. Liam was not just a protector. He was a prisoner, bound to the house by forces he had no control over. Yet, in his pain, Mara found something that drew her in, a shared loneliness, a darkness that seemed to call to her. One night, as the mansion groaned and shifted around them, Liam revealed the truth. He had been cursed, bound to Whispering Hollow for centuries. He was no longer fully human. He was part of the mansion's curse, trapped in an eternal cycle of protecting its secrets, unable to leave. Mara's heart ached for him, but she couldn't help the feelings that were growing between them. And though she had heard the legends of this cursed place, something in her heart told her that if anyone could break the curse, it was her. She had to free Liam, free herself from the darkness that clung to them both. But with each passing day, the mansion grew more restless. The whispers grew louder, the air colder. The walls seemed to close in, and the spirits that haunted the halls grew more desperate, more violent. Mara knew that something had to be done, but the more she searched for a way to break the curse, the more the house seemed to fight back. It wasn't just haunted, it was alive, feeding off the emotions of those trapped within its walls. And then, one night, it happened. In the middle of a violent storm, as the house shook with the power of the wind and the rage of unseen forces, Liam took Mara's hand, his eyes full of sorrow. "I can't let you stay here," Liam whispered, his voice shaking. "I've tried to protect you, but this is too dangerous. You have to leave. The mansion won't let you go once it has you." But Mara wouldn't leave. Not without Liam. She kissed him, desperate, knowing that their love could be the key to breaking the curse. They stood together, defiant, in the heart of the mansion, when suddenly the walls began to pulse, the air heavy with dark energy. The house reacted, thrashing violently as if it were alive. It wasn't just trying to kill them, it was trying to consume them both. And then, as the darkness closed in, Mara made the ultimate choice. She couldn't leave without him, and at that moment, she realized the truth. The mansion would claim one of them. The storm raged outside as the two of them held each other, the walls pressing in, their love the only light in the suffocating darkness. As the darkness enveloped them, Mara felt the house tear at her soul, its power reaching deep into her chest. She looked at Liam, his face twisted in agony, but his eyes still filled with the love that had drawn them together. "I love you," he whispered, his voice breaking. But in that moment, Mara could hear the mansion's final, devastating whisper. One must die. Mara's heart hammered in her chest as the house seemed to grow darker and heavier, the air thick with an oppressive force. She and Liam stood together, their hands intertwined, the walls of Whispering Hollow seemingly closing in on them. The mansion had always been alive, but tonight, it felt like it was breathing, pulsing with dark energy. The storm outside raged, thunder cracking through the sky, but the real battle was within the mansion itself. "We have to break it," Mara whispered, her voice trembling with a mix of fear and determination. "We can't let it win." Liam's face was pale, his eyes haunted by the centuries of torment he had endured. He had been bound to the mansion, trapped in its curse, but he had never allowed anyone to get close to him, until now. Until Mara. The connection between them had ignited something inside him, something he thought he'd lost forever. But with it came danger. The house would never allow them to be free, and the more they fought back. "I've tried everything, Mara," Liam said, his voice low. "The mansion has claimed everyone who's ever tried to leave. I can't protect you any longer." "I'm not leaving you," Mara said firmly, squeezing his hand. Her eyes met his with an intensity that left no room for doubt. "I don't care what it takes. We'll break this curse together." But the house wasn't listening. The temperature dropped, and the walls groaned, their old bones rattling as if protesting their defiance. The spirits that had been trapped within Whispering Hollow for so long stirred, their voices rising in a chilling chorus. "You should never have come," a voice echoed through the halls, the sound seeming to come from every direction. "One must die. The house demands it." Mara's blood ran cold as the whispers grew louder. They were everywhere, inside her mind, in her ears, in the very air she breathed. But it wasn't just the spirits that spoke. The house itself seemed to be alive, conscious, and it was angry. Liam's face darkened, a flash of pain crossing his features. "It's too late, Mara. The mansion won't let us leave. You need to run now." But Mara shook her head, refusing to let fear dictate her actions. She couldn't leave him. Not now. Not after everything they had been through together. She wasn't just fighting for herself anymore. She was fighting for them both. "We're not running. We'll find a way to end this. You've been trapped for too long, Liam. This isn't your fate." Liam stepped back, his expression a mix of sorrow and resignation. "You don't understand. The curse, it's tied to me. If I die, the mansion will die with me. But if you stay, if you try to break the curse, it's tied to me. If I die, the mansion will die with me. But if you stay, if you try to break the curse, it will claim your soul. You'll be trapped here, with me, forever." Mara's heart sank at his words. The thought of being trapped in this dark, haunted place forever was unbearable. But the love she felt for Liam burned brighter than any fear. "I don't care what happens," Mara said, her voice steady. "I love you, and I will not let you suffer alone any longer." The walls trembled again, the house groaning in anger as if rejecting her resolve. The lights flickered, casting eerie shadows across the room. Then, suddenly, the ground beneath them cracked open. A deep, rumbling sound filled the air as the mansion seemed to shift, its very foundation changing, contorting. "We're running out of time," Liam whispered, pulling Mara closer. "The mansion, it's reacting to our defiance. If we don't stop it now, we won't get another chance." But before Mara could respond, a flash of light blinded them both, and the floor beneath them gave way. They fell, their bodies plummeting into darkness. Mara screamed as she tumbled into the unknown, but the grip of Liam's hand never loosened. When Mara's eyes opened again, she found herself in a different place entirely. The air was thick and cold, the walls around her covered in ancient markings that pulsed with dark energy. She was no longer in Whispering Hollow, but something much darker, a realm between life and death. Liam was beside her, unconscious, his body still warm but his soul visibly torn. As Mara tried to shake him awake, she realized they weren't alone. Figures emerged from the shadows, pale, lifeless faces, their eyes hollow and dead. The spirits of those who had once tried to break the curse. They whispered, their voices chilling. You should never have come. The house is only the beginning. The real terror lies beyond. Mora's heart pounded in her chest as she looked around. The realm they had entered was far worse than anything she could have imagined. And now they were trapped. And then, in the distance, a voice spoke, colder than any wind. Welcome to the heart of the curse. Mora's heart pounded as she stood over Liam, who lay unconscious beside her. The air in the strange realm was thick with oppressive darkness, swirling with the echoes of countless lost souls. The walls around her were lined with twisted symbols, ancient and pulsing with an eerie glow. She could feel the weight of the spirits that filled this forsaken place, their whispers clawing at her mind. The temperature was freezing, but the icy air seemed to carry a burning presence, a presence that knew exactly who she was. As Mara tried to rouse Liam, the spirits, their hollow eyes fixed on her, began to stir. Their forms were barely tangible, flickering like the shadows they came from. But there was something undeniably terrifying about their presence. They weren't just souls trapped by the mansion's curse. They were something older, something more dangerous. Something that had always existed beyond the realm of the living. One of them stepped forward, its form shifting and rippling, a woman's face twisted in agony. You don't belong here, the spirit hissed, her voice an unbearable mix of sorrow and rage. This place, it was never meant for the living. The mansion was only a gate. Now, you've crossed the threshold. And you will never leave. Mora's stomach twisted in fear, but she didn't back away. She couldn't. Not now. Not after everything she had been through. I'll find a way out, Mora whispered to herself, though she didn't believe the words. The realm they were in was a prison, one that fed off fear, pain, and regret. She had to get Liam back to the mansion. If there was any hope of breaking the curse, it was there. As Mara knelt beside Liam, she noticed something strange, a glow beneath his chest, faint but growing stronger by the second. It wasn't his heartbeat. It was something else. Something that pulsed with the same dark energy that surrounded them. Liam! Mora cried, shaking him gently. His eyes fluttered open, his pupils dilated, but there was something different about his gaze. He looked distant, lost. Mara, he whispered, his voice barely audible. I'm sorry. I can't fight it anymore. No, Mara pleaded, gripping his shoulders. Don't say that. You're not alone in this. We can still break the curse together. But before she could finish, the ground beneath them began to tremble. The walls cracked, and the temperature dropped even further. The dark presence of the realm seemed to close in around them as if the very air was alive with hunger. Liam's breathing grew shallow. It's too late, he gasped. The curse, it's inside me now. I can feel it, pulling me down. It wants me to stay. And if I don't... Before Mara could react, Liam's eyes rolled back, his body convulsing violently. The light beneath his skin grew brighter, blinding her. She tried to hold him, to anchor him, but the force was too strong. The walls of the realm seemed to respond, their markings glowing brighter as if feeding off the chaos. The spirits screamed in unison, their voices rising to a deafening crescendo. And then, just as suddenly as it began, the light within Liam vanished, leaving him motionless in her arms. Mora's heart shattered. She had fought so hard to save him, but the curse had taken him. Or had it? His body was still warm, but his soul, was it gone? Before she could process what had just happened, the ground beneath her feet cracked open. A dark void swirled in the center, its depths endless and consuming. From it, a voice boomed, a voice that wasn't just in her mind, but in her very soul. You should never have come, the voice said, reverberating through her body, shaking her to her core. The curse was always meant to claim you both. The darkness in the void began to rise, the air thickening, and Mara felt herself being pulled toward the abyss. Desperation filled her lungs as she gripped Liam's lifeless body, but it was useless. The pull of the void was too strong. "No!" Mara screamed, but the words were drowned out by the shrill sound of the spirits' wails, their eyes now glowing with malice. She tried to fight back, but as she reached for the edge, a cold hand, skeletal and icy, wrapped around her wrist. It was the mansion, or what was left of it, dragging her down into the heart of the curse. And then, through the swirling darkness, she saw him, the source of it all. A figure in the shadows, a man twisted in agony and rage, his face familiar yet distorted. His eyes locked with hers, and she realized with a shock of horror. It was her ancestor, the one who had first bound the curse to the house, and he was waiting for her. "You should have stayed away," he hissed, his voice chilling her to the bone. "Now, you'll join me here, forever." Mara's vision blurred as the darkness took over. And then, with a final scream, the world went black. Mara's mind was a blur of pain and terror. The darkness consumed her, its cold grip tightening around her chest as she struggled to breathe. Her ancestor's twisted figure loomed before her, his shadow stretching over her like a prison. The spirits, once restless, now hovered in the background, watching her with eyes full of hatred and malice. The cold hand around her wrist felt like ice, pulling her deeper into the void. But then, a spark. A faint, warm light flickered in the distance, barely visible against the overwhelming darkness. Was it a dream? Or was it hope? She tried to scream, but her voice was lost in the suffocating silence that surrounded her. Her fingers curled around Liam's limp body, but it felt like holding on to a ghost. He was gone, or so she thought. His soul, lost to the curse, trapped between worlds. "You are mine now, Mara," the figure spoke again, his voice a rasp, like the sound of chains scraping against stone. He stepped closer, his face contorted in agony, yet his eyes burned with an unholy hunger. "You came here seeking answers, but now, you are the answer. You'll join us. You'll stay here forever." Mara's heart raced as she felt the overwhelming presence of the curse closing in. But then, amidst the chaos, something shifted within her. The light, faint but undeniable, pulsed again. It was warm, comforting, like the breath of life. Like Liam's love still reaching for her, even from the darkness. She could feel it, deep inside her. "No, I refuse," Mara whispered through gritted teeth, her hands tightening around Liam's lifeless form. "I won't become part of this. I won't be trapped here with you." Her defiance rippled through the void, causing the shadows to recoil. The spirits writhed in agony, their cries piercing the air. But it was as if her resolve was pushing back against the curse. She had come this far, she couldn't let herself be consumed by it. In a desperate act, Mara closed her eyes and focused on the light. She reached out with her heart, with every ounce of strength she had left. She called upon the love she shared with Liam, the connection they had, the bond that even death could not sever. For a moment, everything was still. Then, as if the very fabric of the mansion was breaking, the ground beneath Mara trembled. The walls cracked, splintering like dry wood, and the air turned frigid. She felt a powerful surge of energy. The curse was fighting back, but so was she. Mara opened her eyes just as a blinding flash of light erupted from within her chest, pushing back the shadows. The spirits screamed as they were driven back, forced into the corners of the dark realm. The cursed figure, the ancestor, staggered backward, his twisted face contorted in rage. "You can't stop me," he howled, but his voice faltered as if the strength was draining from him. "I can," Mara said, her voice steady and strong. "I will stop you, and I'll free Liam." The light continued to grow, expanding, wrapping around her like a protective shield. It enveloped the mansion, pushing the curse back, and forcing it to retreat. For a moment, the darkness receded, and Mara dared to believe that she could escape this nightmare. But the victory was short-lived. As the light began to fade, she heard Liam's voice. Soft, faint, but unmistakable. It was a whisper, barely audible over the wind, but it was enough to make her heart skip a beat. "Mara, don't leave me." Her heart clenched in pain as she looked around, frantic. The light was dimming. The realm was slipping away from her. But Liam, his voice was still there, somewhere. She reached out, her hands trembling, but the pull of the darkness grew stronger again. The mansion groaned, its walls shuddering violently as if it were alive, trying to consume her once more. Just as Mara thought she had a chance to free herself, a massive force collided with her, throwing her back. Her body slammed into the ground, and her vision blurred. She gasped for air, the pressure building around her chest as if the very weight of the mansion was pressing down on her. At that moment, a figure emerged from the shadows. Liam, but not the Liam she knew. His eyes were hollow, black as coal, and his skin seemed to be fading, as if he were caught between life and death. "Mara," he whispered, his voice distant, broken. "You can't save me." Mara's heart stopped as she looked at him, unable to comprehend what she was seeing. Was it him? Was it the curse taking over? The mansion trembled once again, louder this time, as if the very ground they stood on was being torn apart. Liam's figure flickered, and the darkness surrounding him seemed to grow, swallowing him whole. "No, Liam!" Mara screamed, but it was too late. The shadows consumed him, leaving only his hollow eyes staring back at her as the world around her collapsed. And then nothing. In the heart of an ancient, cursed mansion, Mara must face a terrifying truth. To save the man she loves, she must battle the very darkness that binds him to this world. But the curse is alive, and it has one final, chilling demand only one of them can survive. Can love break the curse, or will the mansion claim them both? Subscribe now to follow Mara's journey through the twisted halls of Whispering Hollow, and uncover the secrets that could destroy them all. Don't miss the next chapter of this spine-chilling tale.